Buying your first home is such an exciting step in someone's life, but there are mistakes that you can make, especially as a first-time home buyer, that I want to prepare you for so that you don't get into a situation that you don't want to be in because you didn't realize that these mistakes could actually affect you in such a strong way. By the way, my name is Zamira Dunnet and I'm a local real estate agent right here in the GTA, and I'm with eXp Realty. And if you are looking to purchase a home in today's market or anytime in the future, my contact information is right there in the description. If you have any questions at all about the process, you can reach out to me at any time. I am always here to help, so please don't hesitate and do reach out. All right, let's jump into it. So I'm going to be going over the 5 most common mistakes that first-time homebuyers make when they're going to purchase a home. I don't want you to make these mistakes, so please stick around all the way till the end so that you know what to look out for and what to not do before purchasing a home. Number 1 is ignoring the importance of your credit score. Your credit score makes such a difference in this entire process of purchasing a home. It plays a pivotal role in determining your interest rate. With interest rates being so high right now, the highest they've ever been in over a decade, you want to make sure you're getting the best interest rate possible, especially if you're locking it in for a few years. The best thing you can do is just check your credit before you even start the process. Because if you check your credit and you realize that there's something in there that you can fix, I would do that first before even starting the process. Your credit score also determines what type of lender that you can qualify with. So if you have a higher than a 680 credit score, you can go with any of the top banks, CIBC, RBC, Scotiabank. All of the top banks will take you into consideration when it comes to getting a mortgage. Now, if you have under a 680 credit score, you would be going to an alternative lender, like a B lender or a private lender. Now, if that's not something you want to do, you want to start building that credit before you even decide to purchase a home. Look at what your credit score is and get it to where you want it to be. And I'll make sure to make a video on how to increase your credit score so that that can help you as well if that's what you're looking to do before you purchase a home. Okay, number 2 is overlooking the additional costs of purchasing a home. Now, you probably start looking and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I can't wait to get into my new home. You're like, okay, this is how much I need for my down payment. This is how much I need for closing costs. But you know that there's additional costs as well that you cannot forget. You're going to be doing an inspection on a property, which you pay for. You're going to have maintenance of this property afterwards if things are found or if something breaks after you live in it. There's property tax added to this property as well. And don't forget home insurance. There's so many different things. Especially if you're thinking about moving to Brampton, just talking about home insurance. I have a client right now that is moving from Mississauga to Brampton, and their car insurance increased by $100 just because they moved to Brampton. There's those additional costs that you have to pay attention to and add into your calculations so that you know exactly how much you're going to be spending each month. All right, so let's break it down a little bit. Property tax is between $3,000 to $4,000 a year. So you want to separate that into 12 months, figure out how much of that you're going to be paying each month. Then when it comes to maintenance, you want to put a bit of money aside just in case. So like 6 months after we moved into our property, we already knew that the furnace and the AC were old, but they actually conked out just 6 months after we moved in. So we had to spend $6,000 to get a new furnace and AC. We had put money aside because when we got our inspection done, they told us that those were old. And so we knew that it was going to be something that was coming up. So we were ready for that amount. Also, you get an inspection done in the conditional period before you actually accept the property that you're purchasing. That inspection is between $400 to $500 to get completed, and you want to have that money available for that. Also, I almost forgot your deposit. You need to have 5% of a purchase price ready when you are writing an offer so that you can put a deposit towards that property. You want to have that money available to be taken out in a bank draft in less than 24 hours and provided to the listing brokerage. Because if you don't do that, you lose this property. This is money people forget that they need immediately. They're like, oh yeah, my money is in my investments. I can just get it on closing date. I'll be fine. You need that deposit the day after you submit that offer. You only have 24 hours to submit that amount of money that you put into the agreement, or you've lost that property. That's it. So you have to have that money in a checkings account that you can take it in a bank draft in less than 24 hours. And like I mentioned, home insurance or car insurance increased for my clients because they moved to Brampton. But home insurance, if you're a tenant, that goes up as well. Tenant insurance is much cheaper than home insurance. So you want to factor all of these costs before deciding to purchase a home. Okay, number 3 is something I just mentioned. It's your home inspection. You have to make sure that you do this home inspection. There are so many things that could be happening inside a property that you can't see just by a casual walkthrough, and waiving the home inspection does not protect you in any way at all. You're able to negotiate if things are found. You have just thrown away that negotiation if you decide not to do a home inspection. A home inspector is a licensed professional that checks the foundation, the roof, the plumbing, the electrical system, as well as water damage. If a leak has happened in this home and it has come into the basement, you want to know that. What if that basement leaks every single year and you buy a home in the summer? How are you even going to know that that's a thing? But an inspector can see this and know that it's happening in this home and advise you on it beforehand. They also cover your safety concerns. They'll be able to tell you if there's any faulty wiring, any gas leaks, or any structural issues. These are super important when purchasing a home. And if any issues are found, like I mentioned, you're able to negotiate with the seller. Either the seller can repair the issue for you, or you can reduce the purchase price because you would have to repair these issues yourself. A home inspection will also just give you a peace of mind, knowing that your home is clear of any issues and that after you've paid such a large amount of money to purchase this home, you don't have to cough up additional money to repair parts of this home. Okay, number 4 is a failure to get a pre-approval. Now, a pre-approval is super important when it comes to purchasing a home. There's pre-qualification and then there's pre-approval. You want to get a pre-approval because this gives you your exact budget of how much you can purchase when it comes to buying a home. And you never want to go over this number. The difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. With a pre-qualification, they just check your income and your debt and they give you a number. But that's not enough information to be able to know exactly what your budget is. A pre-approval checks your credit, they check your taxes, then they check your income, your assets, and your debt. All of this information can give you a solid number of exactly how much you can purchase. With a pre-approval, you also can hold your rate for up to 120 days. So let's say you're like, oh, I'm going to go get my pre-approval. You start looking, you're like, you know what? I want to wait a little bit. You have the ability to do so because you're locking in that rate for that long. And as I mentioned, it also checks your credit. When your credit is checked, it can help you negotiate in so many ways with that lender. And the worst thing that could happen is you don't have a pre-approval, you start looking around for homes, you fall in love with a property, and then you go to the bank and you find out that you're not even close to that budget when it comes to purchasing a home. The number one first step you do before you even go to look at a house is get that pre-approval. And I want to let you guys know that my husband is a mortgage agent. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and contact me. I'll also put his contact information right there in the description. And you can ask him any questions that you have about the mortgage process when it comes to purchasing a home. Okay, number 5 is your emotions are driving your decision making. Purchasing a home is a deeply emotional experience. You have to remember that no home is perfect. There is always going to be a few things that you may not like in a property, but having like 70 to 80% of what you want in a home is really, really good. I always tell my clients to write down their top 3 non-negotiables. 3 things that they have to have in the home that they buy. And then everything else can be flexible. And as I mentioned about other expenses after closing, you want to not just think about the purchase price of a property. You want to look at how much the property tax is, what the maintenance are going to be, how much the utilities are, and stuff like that. Because maybe you're spending this much money, but then you're going to have to spend so much more on top because of these additional expenses that are added in. While if you spend a little bit more for a home, you won't have as many expenses. So you want to weigh that out. Also, when you go get that pre-approval, you want to know exactly what your monthly costs are going to be. Just because you hear that you can purchase a property at $700,000, but then you look at the numbers and your monthly payments are going to be $3,500 a month and you're not comfortable with that number, that means you don't go there. You want to know those numbers beforehand. And something that I guide my clients with doing is, let's say you're renting right now and you're spending $2,000 a month on your rent, and you feel comfortable spending $3,000 a month. What I would do from today is start taking out an additional $1,000 so that it feels like you're spending $3,000 a month, and take that extra $1,000 and throw it into a savings account. When you do that, you start feeling what it's like to spend $3,000 a month. Know what those mortgage payments would feel like, and if that feels like too much, then you know that you've budgeted yourself incorrectly and you want to use a lower amount for your monthly mortgage payments. But by doing this beforehand, you already know what that feels like, instead of already getting that mortgage, starting to pay $3,000 a month and be like, man, this is hard, I can't pay this. Also, when you are inside homes, walking around, looking at places, your agent probably books 3, 4, 5 showings in a row. You're going to start forgetting what the first house and the second house and the fifth house all look like. So I always advise to take notes. Write down things that you like about a home, what you don't like about the home, things that will trigger your memory to remind you what each home looked like, what the positives and negatives of each home are. And remember, when a home is staged, it is staged to be appealing. You have to imagine this home being completely empty. A lot of people fall in love with homes because of cosmetics and things like that. Now, those things will be removed or they can be changed. If you walk into a home and you're like, I don't like the blue walls in this house, but I really like the layout, you can paint the house. Those things can be changed, but you can't change the layout or the way that you walk through a house. So these are things that you have to remember, that cosmetics can be changed. They're there to be appealing, especially when it comes to staging. But you have to remember that some of those things will be removed and the house may look different after those things are removed. Because this process is such an emotional experience, you might fall in love with something that you realize may not be best for your future later on. For example, let's say you go see a home, the price is great, and you realize that it's a 2-bedroom property. You're like, oh, but this is beautiful, and it's just me and my husband, or it's just me and my wife right now. Like, I don't have to worry, I can buy a 2-bedroom house. And then you realize that in like 2 years, you want to have children. What room are they going to be in if it's only a 2-bedroom property? You have to think about your future, where you're going to be, what your plans are. If you're thinking about selling it in the next few years and know you want to upgrade later on, okay, fine, that's okay. But figure these things out. Like I said, it is a very emotional experience, and walking through each home makes you feel completely different. And you need to realize what things are super important to you when it comes to a home, what are needed. Like when I bought my house, I fell in love with it. We had seen 30 properties beforehand. And then now that I've lived in it for a while, I was like, oh, it would have been nice if I had an ensuite, because that would have made it a lot easier for where my life is now. So before you go and look at homes, sit down, write down all the things that you think that you want in your property, and then pick a few non-negotiables, and then kind of vary from there. Because sitting down, taking your time, like I said, we're in that buyer's market. You have the ability to take the time that you need before you jump into something. So slow down and take your time. Hopefully these tips really prepare you in starting the process of purchasing a home, and really know what you need to do before you get into the actual process of purchasing, so that you are ready to go, prepared, and knowledgeable throughout the process. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. And if you like this information, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and like this video. Leave a comment or two, because I would love to help you guys out. Any questions you have, go ahead and throw them in the bottom. As well as you can reach out to me at any time. I am always here to help. I make a video every single week. So we will see you all next week.